Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good.
All right, so I'm William, or Rodney, just to confuse you more.
And I'm Mark.
And he's Mark.
We're gonna do this Vietnam thing, right?
We are gonna do Vietnam.
Right.
So
So
when
you're-
did I come to you? Like a year and a half ago?
It's been longer than that. It's like 2 years.
I know, I'm sort of like I came here like that.
I know.
It's sort of sad.
Well, it went like nowhere, and then it's like
It's here.
it's here.
So I'm
So
excited.
we're 3 weeks away, guys.
Yes.
So yeah. So you're gonna take the first part. I'll take the second part.
Yes.
And
so,
we go.
So I threw this presentation together this morning, just like school, you know. And I was going to make this super detailed presentation. Like I was really going to get into it. And then I printed this thing out this morning that Mark sent to everybody. So everybody printed this out.
Yes.
I don't even know why I'm here tonight, to be honest. Like this is so complete. Okay, so before we even start, I'm going to call him out on one thing. I forget how he worded it. I even circled it here somewhere. Oh, there will be little chance of having drinks by the pool. Wrong. I even have a picture of me in the pool, so I would highly suggest that you pack a small bathing suit to bring with you, because there is a negative edge pool in my chow, and it's really nice and it overlooked, and you'll see some pictures of it. So
Awesome.
there's one that I disagree with. Bring a bathing suit. How you doing?
Hey, Desiree.
Desiree, nice to meet you or say hello. So, okay, so let's go. This is Quy. And Quy is a cool guy. Quy was born, the guy on the right, that's his little son. Quy was born in Vietnam, and somewhere, I'm not quite sure, but when he was younger, him and his sister got adopted by a couple in Oregon. And he grew up in Oregon. He's an Oregon Duck fan. I won't hold that against him. And about 6 years or 7 years ago or so, he moved. He just decided he had a wife in the United States, and they moved back to Vietnam. Unfortunately, it did not work out with the wife. She came back to the United States, but he has stayed in Vietnam. And he's remarried, got a little baby. His wife's awesome. He's a great guy. Speaks fluent English, and he is going to be our guide over there. He's a super guy. Funny and very, very well connected, and can do a lot of things that maybe an average guide cannot do.
How do you know him?
I've been with him before on a tour. There's a guy down here named Jim Kennedy. He's a wedding photographer. Do you know Jim? And he had a thing called Rack Life, Random Act of Kindness. And I've been to Vietnam a couple of times, but I went with him and we built a house for people over there. We were over there a week building a house, and that's how I know Quy. Quy was just in California and Oregon for 3 months. He just went back home, so he's a cool guy. But he did tell me he wants to send you one message about his country. So Tokyo, Korea, very organized. Who else is, you've been to Africa, that's cool. Africa,
South America too.
whereabouts?
I've been to Peru and also to Chile.
Okay, been there.
Africa.
Africa, I haven't been to the same African countries that you go to, but I have been there. But Quy wants, so people sort of romanticize a lot of these countries, and what he wants you to know is it's still a third world country. So we're going to have an amazing time, we're going to see and do a lot of amazing stuff, but you still have to realize that it's not like downtown Beverly Hills when we get there, right? So that was his message to bring tonight. So, you know, I want to also say that I think we're going to have something for everybody. I know Mark is like into the photography thing in a big way, but I also think we're going to get to experience a lot of culture, which I think is neat. We'll probably get invited into people's homes and see how they live and be able to photograph them. The food, I love it. I'm a street food person too, although that if we want to go one night, we will take volunteers to go out and do street food if you're up for it. But the meals we will be having will be more in a restaurant environment unless you want to get adventurous.
So is this? Have you eaten street food there?
I've eaten dollar street food, yeah. I did not get, I got sick once for an hour or two, but I bring Cipro and stomach stuff. I mean, it's, you know, little yin and yang, right?
Right.
But it's amazing. So, and he knows where to go.
Okay.
So he took, I was just there 8 weeks ago, maybe 10 weeks ago now, and then on a planning trip, and he took my wife and I down this dark alley, and it was like, it smelled like fish, and you'll see I have these pictures, you know, you sit on these little plastic stools, and you know, they wash the dishes by hand, And yet there's people there with business suits and dresses on. They're like working in an office building and they'll still come down this dark alleyway to have this soup. So you know it's good, right? All right. There'll be a lot of landscape photography, street photography. We will have some tourist stops. I mean, what I'm trying to say is there's something for everybody in this trip. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to do portraits, both environmental. So like I said, we'll probably get to meet people in their environment, go into their houses and be able to photograph them. We're also going to do a little bit of posed photography. I have 2 stops where we'll actually have a model or models that we'll be able to photograph too. So there will be some free time because we want that a little bit, right? To go in the pool, have a Hanoi beer.
Yes.
And then the bus ride, we're going to talk about the bus ride. There is 2 long stretches in the whole trip of about 6 hours each way when we go to Sapa. So I've talked to Mark, and maybe you guys want to think about what we could talk. Maybe we can do like an hour or 2-hour lecture on the bus ride or something, or just talk about photography, what you want, so you don't have to take blurry pictures anymore. Use a tripod, not use a tripod, but come up with stuff. All right. So this is where we're going. We're going to start in Hanoi, and then which I've been to, and then we're going to go to Ninh, which I have not been to. I have been to Hang Long Bay before, and that's where I think everybody sees very popular, Hang Long Bay with the ships. But it's very overrun with tourists right now. So instead, this time we're going to go to Ninh, which is a lot like Hang Long Bay, except it's a river instead of a sea with the big peak mountains, and we take boat rides.
About how far of a drive is
This is going to be maybe, depending on traffic, 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
Then we're going to go straight from here over to Mai Chau, which is hard to find on a map. It's very, when I have a couple of pictures, a lot of rice fields and farmers. The people that inhabit this area are called Black Thai. They actually came from Thailand somewhere hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So we're going to do 3 nights here, 2 nights over here, 2 nights. This is where the pool is. Actually, I think this hotel had a pool too when I looked at it, but this pool is really cool. I've swam in it before. Then we're going to drive back to Hanoi for a night. We're going to spend 5 nights at the main hotel. Spend 1 night, and then this is the 6-hour drive. And you can take a train. Actually, if we went this high, this would be China. We're really right up on the Chinese border. And you can take a train from here to here. It runs all night, but it's expensive. You have to get your own car, and it's about $380 return. It's the most expensive thing, and you sort of get a couple of beers and lock yourself in there. And I think it's at night because I'm sure like the bridges are rickety and they don't want you to see. And then you still like get out here and you still have to drive for another hour to get to Sapa anyway. So we're just going to take a bus. Okay, so let's talk about Hanoi. This is the famous lake. One thing I've just thought of, actually, I have it in my tips at the very end, but Old Town Hanoi is crazy and it is very, very easy to get lost. I've only been lost twice in my life traveling. Once was in Shanghai 2 years ago. My wife and I cried. Tried finding our hotel for 2 hours and finally hailed a taxi and went 1 block and there was our hotel. So we were had it circled. Old Town is the same. So everywhere we go, the one thing you want to do, one of my big tips is always get a business card from the hotel and put it in your wallet. So should you get separated or free time and you're out wandering around, and everything sort of looks the same in Old Town, it's very easy to get a rickshaw, taxi, or stop and ask people how to get back to your hotel. So this is where we're staying. It's called La Siesta Trendy. So it is beautiful inside, but this is, you see the outside, here's the hotel, but motorbikes and little restaurants and sort of a little rough on the outside, but that is Old Quarter Hanoi. I have not stayed at this hotel, but I went to visit it 8 weeks ago. I was staying in another one of their properties at the La Siesta, something else, but we walked over to the Trendy Hotel, and it's beautiful. The rooms are beautiful. They got a bar downstairs, free breakfast every morning, buffet breakfast upstairs. I think it was the 3rd floor. It's a really great location. We'll be spending 5 nights there. And once you go outside and head this way, that's where the lake is, and then this is all Old Town, and you can spend hours just walking around. This is a famous how to walk in Hanoi, across the street. This is my wife actually holding these balloons. We have video. We paid this guy. He was standing over here selling these balloons. And we paid him, I think, like we gave him $5 or $2 and borrowed his balloons. And we're up on a beer garden, which is actually under renovation now, 8 weeks ago. And traffic is flipping crazy here. There's like 5 streets, no traffic lights. And we photographed her and did video. But here's the secret, anywhere in Vietnam, across the road. So if I'm standing here and I want to go over here, you know what I do?
Go.
You go. You start walking. But you don't change your cadence. You don't slow down, you don't stop, because these people are flipping awesome. They know what they're doing. They will zip around you. But if you're like herky-jerky and stop or something, you're gonna get taken out. And as you'll see,
Frogger.
as you'll see,
Frogger, baby.
as you'll see. Okay, so not on this, maybe it was this trip, on this trip. So Vietnam is a scooter-centric country. When we're in the countryside, you're going to see somebody on a scooter with his wife, a family of 3, a door, and 4 chickens. I guarantee it. All on a 150cc scooter. I've been all over the world, lots of scooters, but I've never seen them carry as much as they can carry in this country. So my wife's adventurous. Here's Quy, my wife on the back of Quy scooter. So she got a tour of Old Town Hanoi on the back of a scooter. He's like driving and he's doing selfies while he's That's how that picture came about. So, okay, so what we're going to do is this is Old Town. It's pretty interesting. Rickshaws, stores. Somebody talked about shopping. There's a store, you'll see it everywhere in Old Town, called Made in Vietnam. And you can buy like North Face backpacks for $15, $20, or $150 at REI, shoes, jackets. I can't pronounce it right, those backpacks, the Valjucot, I don't know what they're called, my wife knows how to pronounce. All the kids, you see all the kids wearing those backpacks from Scandinavia right now. They're made there, they sell for $100 here, they're like $8 over there. So there is some good shopping.
So is that cash or is it
Cash.
credit card?
Cash.
And is it American dollars or is it dong?
Either or.
Okay.
So here's how I do the money. Let's do the money thing. This
Okay.
is what I do. I do not exchange my money at the airport because they're gonna like screw you on the exchange. Plus they take a commission, and then when you leave, if you have a lot left over, you're more of the same. So what I like to do is I'm with a credit union. I always call them or go online and let them know where I'm traveling. I have a special account with money in it. As soon as I land at the airport in Hanoi, I go to the ATM machine and I withdraw money. And I don't have them do the conversion, I do it with no conversion because that means my bank here or my credit union here does the conversion, and that's the fairest conversion. You can't necessarily get tons of money out, we have to talk about money, but there's ATMs all over, and we just go to the local ATM, stand on the corner, and take out money.
Do they have to flip the thing to English?
Yes.
Here? Yeah, you can get English here.
I mean, on the ATMs.
Yeah, you can get English, yes.
Because
Because that's mainly who it's for.
Can I take my ATM
Yes.
card without calling a credit union and all that?
Well, I would call you want to let your bank know that you are traveling
Okay, I
abroad.
don't have a
And your credit card company.
Well, it doesn't matter, bank or just a credit card, Chase, Visa. Nowadays, a lot of the technology is your bank knows you're there because your cell phone's there.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. But I still do it anyways. I always let them know I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah? So the first day, we're going to take it easy. We're going to get in at 11, or I'm going to get in the day before. You guys, some of you get in very late, 9:30. By the time you clear customs and that, 10:30, get to the hotel 11:30, it'll be midnight, 1 in the morning before we go to bed. So we're going to meet for breakfast the following day, and we'll do a walking tour of Old Town. And it'll be pretty relaxed. We'll go down to the lake, maybe go for coffee, eat something. If people do want to get adventurous that night and not eat at a restaurant, we can arrange something, but we'll figure that out on the go. But that's the plan to do Old Town. How am I doing, Mark, quickly?
Great, no, perfect.
Okay, we're gonna have a model in Hanoi, a model or two, and we'll find some, maybe not this wall, although I do like graffiti, that's the one thing I do like, but maybe we'll find an old wall or an old building, and we'll shoot models. I think I might bring one strobe with me. I haven't, or a very strong constant light, I haven't decided yet, but we're gonna maybe just do something a little bit different here and later on in my chow with models too. But you don't have to have a strobe to shoot them, but we're gonna have models. Then the next day we're gonna do, this is a crappy picture I got off the internet. Most of these pictures are mine, but this is a crappy one. I tried to find a good one. But on the second day in Hanoi, we will do more of a typical tour, and we'll go to like maybe a museum. This is the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum. It's where he's buried. If the soldiers are marching and you go to take a picture, they'll yell at you, no pictures. You go, yeah, right, click, 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 because they're not going to do anything. It's just, but we're going to do that on a bus. We're going to have a couple of different stops. So maybe that'll be the most touristy thing we'll do on the whole trip. But I think it's still interesting stuff to see. The next day, we'll get up and we'll drive the 3.5 hours to Ninh Binh. I have not been there, but this is sort of what it's like. And it's famous for temples and these boat rides. Hopefully there's not these many people on the boats, but we will take a boat ride down and we'll get to experience that over 2 days. I have never stayed at this hotel. A lot of problem is a lot of hotels look great online. Who's had that experience? And then you get there and you're like, oh boy. But I get the feeling that this is a good hotel. So it's called the Hidden Charm. The rooms look amazing. It looks amazing, but you know, I'm sure there's a little Photoshop involved. Like I said, we'll do a boat cruise, and then we'll go visit some temples, and we'll spend like a day and a half there. After that, we'll go to Mai Chau, which I love this area. This is sort of very low-key area. Here I am. I cut myself off because I got to lose a little weight, but here I am in the negative edge pool with the group, and then in the background of the negative edge pool is all these rice fields and everything. We're staying at a place called Seoul Bungalows. I've never physically stayed there, but as you can see, I have swam in their pool and ordered drinks, because Kui is very well connected, especially in this area. He knows
And
a
he
lot.
approved all the hotels, right?
He knew 2 of them, but not all of them. So I did research on it. No motor scooters on this trip. This is me talking about Dong. I was riding along on a motor scooter, and there was a guy in front of me on a motor scooter with a girl, and my wife whispered in my ear, "This is the best trip ever." I have no bullshit. Can I say that on camera?
Yeah, you can.
Not 30 seconds later, the guy in front of me, down he goes. I've ridden Harleys. I know what to do. And what do? I crash with my wife on the back. Slow motion. You know when you have an accident, thing less time? So I jump up and I look at my wife. I'm like, "Are you all right?" And she looks at me and starts screaming. And oops, I had a massive cut, like a 1-inch gash over my eye. I had a hamburger coming out of my knee. And the sad thing was I had to ride 45 minutes to the hospital in Mai Chau to get this. And while I'm getting this done, so I don't want to scare you, I'm sure Hanoi has beautiful hospitals, but this is a village hospital. Now, I've been to village hospitals in Canada where I'm from, and they're not always the greatest either. But I had people peeking in the window, seeing the Western guy getting stitched up.
Where's your scars?
Yeah, pardon?
Can you see your scars?
No, well, here's the thing. They used some weird stuff to stitch me up. And we had a girl who worked for Olympus, not the camera company, but the medical division of Olympus. Their cameras for proctology and things like that. And she came in, and Kui was in there, because Kui was, translating. And she looked, she goes, "Well, it's sterilized needle. This is sterilized. That's good." And she goes, "I don't know what they're stitching you up with." But anyways, I came back a week later and I had my stitches out and there's no scars. So I don't know what they used, but it was pretty darn good. So speaking of Dong and the money, when I showed up, man, this is going to cost a lot. And when I finally got out, they're on the computer, ching, ching, ching. He's like, "Man, they are going to screw you because you are a Westerner." So I'm finished. I'm like, "Okay, what's the bill?" And they're like, $500,000. Get my phone, $32. I think I can afford this. They didn't have change. This guy, the surgeon, had to pull his own wallet out and make change so the hospital couldn't get enough money and take my money. So we are not going to ride scooters. But in Mai Chau, there's a cool little village. I think I have a picture of it. I'll show you in a minute. And we're going to use, the golf carts you see people driving, the real fancy ones. So we're going to take those down to the little village to make it a lot easier. And you can rent bicycles if you want and go bike riding through some of the village and rice fields, which is really cool. These are some of the people in my chow. Some of these people, these ladies have no teeth or black teeth because they chew on some root that turns their teeth black. And back in the day, that made them very attractive. At least that's what they thought. So Queen knows this young lady. This is this lady we met. This lady here was her kid that we built a house for. And you can't see this house, but this guy in the back is wearing his uniform from the Vietnam, or like they like to call it, the American War, and he's playing a flute while she's actually serving us tea in her house. Wow. So we will get to do some of that stuff. And Quee's masterful at just like, maybe you never even met these people and get us into their house. So it'll be a lot of fun. So locals, and then in my chow, we're gonna get models too, because the rice fields, we timed this trip so they'd be green, which is what we want. And we'll stick a model or two out in the rice field and photograph.
In the red silk dress?
I don't know if it's going to be red, because that's Chinese, but we're going to get some color that'll hopefully complement green, right? A lot of kids around my chow. Here's Quee hanging out with a bunch of kids. What we did on this last trip, we were on motor scooters. We would stop and spend about $10 US on candy. We would literally fill up everybody's backpack, and we would drive through these little villages on the motorbikes, playing Santa Claus with candy in hand. It was pretty awesome. So when you first pull into my chow, there's a main drag, and this is your first everywhere you go, your first vision is going to be, oh my gosh, this isn't what I expected. But in my chow, it's also a tourist destination for people from Hanoi themselves. So there's this little village that's sort of touristy, but you know, they got cute little stores, and they got restaurants, and you know, massage parlors and foot massage and a lot of cool stuff going on. So typically what we'll do is we'll take a golf cart at night and go down here for an hour or two and walk around. It's sort of cool. I like it a lot. And beer. Remember me? Beer or whiskey? They're more into beer than whiskey there.
So, okay, so what else do they drink besides beer in Vietnam? Is it all beer?
Pretty well beer and coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah, their coffee is, you could stand a spoon up in it.
Okay.
There's a lot of more coffee shops there now than there are places that serve beer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you would think hard alcohol is big, but it's not.
No.
No, China maybe much more so, Japan much more so, Korea with soju or whatever. Soju is bad. Very bad. Who's going to Korea? You are.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is fade to black, so do not drink soju. Allegedly, I had a great night, but I couldn't.
But Mike, it's just
Yeah, we had this great dinner, soju, suju, and then we ended up in a whiskey bar, and I woke up the next morning.
Were you married the next morning?
And I was not married the next morning.
But the tattoo.
And no tooth.
I had my tooth, but how do you know about the tattoo? The other great thing about my chow are the landscapes. It's amazing. It's beautiful. That's what I like. It's not overrun. This is the whole town. I know the hospital's like here, and there's other little villages. And we're going to be staying back in this area. So the town I showed you, the little tourist village, is maybe located about here, and we're going to be like up in this area.
Cool.
This area here is, you'll see, it's sort of rough and tumbled, and like maybe not a lot to explore.
Cool.
All right. And like I said, home visits, which I like. They're great. This young lady was serving tea too in her home. They like sitting on the floor. Then my favorite, Sapa. It's a long way to get there, but there's these awesome villages. There's the tiered, rice fields like layered up into the hills. Like here, it's beautiful. And this is the hotel we're staying there. I've not stayed here. I stayed in a much smaller boutique hotel when I was there. Originally, I had a hotel that was sort of like, would have been like maybe a 20-minute walk into the little village of Sapa, and I changed it. This hotel, as you can see out their window, is right into the little village of Sapa, which is interesting. And this was a misty morning in Sapa. A lot of massage, foot massage, restaurants, handmade silver stuff, a lot of tourist stuff, great food. And then we will take I think for here we need smaller buses. Who's going to take care of that? And then we're going to go explore. We'll probably end up doing 2 different tribes. When you show up, at these tribes, you're gonna get, I'll tell you right now, you're gonna get mobbed. There'll be like, 50 of these young ladies running towards you when the bus pulls up, because they want to sell you stuff. And they can speak 3 sentences in English. Where are you from? How old are you? You got children. That's all they know. But you'll hear that over and over. Once the frenzy tones down, which takes maybe 5 minutes, you will latch yourself to 1 or 2, and then you can walk with them through their village. Some of them will invite you into your home. My wife, if you had seen my travel program here, I'd show this picture before. She's a scarfaholic, so she was buying scarves off these beeps, but they're so cheap. But
What does,
a lot of photographic opportunities. Go ahead.
Oh, what do you mean by tribe? Is it like a
They're hill tribe people.
Dao?
So these are the 3 most popular: the Hmong, the Red Dao, and the Tai. And they have different, like these people wear red hairdress, these people wear different headdress, and they're actually very tribal. And they live, boom, boom. You have to hike down a little bit, but it's maybe a 1 mile, and they live in this area. They'll have a small hospital, a small school. It's sort of sad because I'm sort of torn, because the younger people, younger being, in their 20s, they are leaving these tribes because of cell phones and internet, and they're going to work in the actual town of Sapa in the hospitality industry.
I saw something